not very often that we're attacked on our own soil.
Where were you on 9/11?
Came downstairs. I was going to the gym, actually.
And I remember I had to sleep over my aunt's house.
I was actually in Washington, D.C. at the time.
9/11, I went out fishing with a couple of my buddies.
It is very real to me every day.
Yeah, no one forgets where they were or what they were doing.
It's an imprintation of something that is spectacular.
You scuff them, we buff them. You ready, my man? Good night, shiny day. All right, see you later. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, the customers was coming. I was making money. I was making good money and everything. And so when the first plane hit, I finished off my shine. A piece of the building fell. It was like a fiberglass piece. And it hit my other brother in the head. So he just took it and broke it to the side of the crate, because we didn't know what it was.
And then we were walking to school, and it was trash day.
I was in 6th grade, and I was 12. And I just remember that morning, one of my teachers coming in, talking to my teacher, and she was crying. And I guess her parents are from the city, so she was worried about, you know, if they were okay. And
I was fishing with my guys, a couple of my friends right off Coney Island. And when the buildings came down, that cloud that came over, whatever was in there, it settled on the water and it started sparkling. I called my wife and I told her to go the opposite way because she worked at Chambers Street. And she was coming from the other direction. That's when the second plane hit.
And we helped.
And she felt the heat coming from the building.
So I flew to work, which is surprising. Nobody was on the road. And by the time I got to the airport, everybody was just sitting there, laying on the floor, sleeping, just because no planes were leaving at all.
And I remember I had to sleep over my aunt's house because my parents had to rush to Staten Island, and they didn't want to tell me why. And then once they got there, they told me, they're like, you know, we can't find your uncle. And I'm like, well, he had the day off today, you know, he's probably just like walking around. I was like, let me call his cell phone or something like that. And we would try and call his cell phone, and obviously like he didn't answer. So we spent a couple months looking for him, and until we found out that he was there.
I remember very vividly there were those incredible blue skies that morning. And I remember going into this, it was at the Blue Ridge Parkway, going into this meeting.
It was the first day of my preschool, Annisquam Kindergarten and Nursery School in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
We always deliver Meals on Wheels, and that was a beautiful day. Got in the truck and went to Somerset, stopped at Walmart to pick up a few things before we delivered meals, and the lights flickered off and on when I was paying for my items that I bought.
I can remember because I was getting ready to work on my elliptical. I was tying my shoes and putting my socks on.
And my mother called me and she said, do you have your TV on? And I said, no. And she said, well, turn it on. Some plane has crashed into a building in New York. She asked me, she said, where are the girls? You know, talking about my 2 flight attendant daughters. And I said, well, Sherry's in Amsterdam. She went over yesterday. And I said, Sandy is in Vegas.
And I was just, kind of mesmerized by what I was seeing.
And it's like burning and burning and burning.
So, I said, she's in Vegas and Sherry's in Amsterdam, so they're okay, Mama. And I did not know that Sandy had traded her trip. And so then Phil called me, her husband, and she had called him from the plane. And he called me and told me, that her plane had been hijacked, and, he said, can you come to the house? And I said, yes. So, my husband and I went to the house. The last thing she said to him, she talked to him till right up to the end. The last thing she said to him was, I have to go now, we're running to the front. And she laid the phone down because he could hear the noise, some of it in the background. And then it just, everything stopped, it just cut off.
They fought back, and that's why we're up here, because they fought back. They were heroes.
I set the alarm clock and the radio went, and I was listening to them talking about all this, what was going on. I'm wondering, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? So we had the tally right next to our bed, so we turned the tally on, and of course it was the Twin Towers. Even though it was an attack on America, it was an attack on everybody, really.
Well, I think about it every day. Interesting enough, I actually work in the same area where the aircraft hit. I'm actually one door down from the reflection room, which is essentially a memorial for naval personnel that were killed in the Navy Command Center. I was on a routine day off. I was working a staggered shift, and it just so happened that that Tuesday fell on a regular day off for me.
I grew up in this area. My dad used to work right over there in Roslyn. And they were flying back from China. Instead, I thought, what if they were on one of those planes? And it was terrifying.
It wasn't until about 1 o'clock I finally reached a fellow lieutenant of mine. He, at that point, informed me that our office had taken a direct hit and there were a number of missing.
I didn't think I would have this strong of a reaction.
You certainly don't hear any complaining, from me about long hours and hard work, because I know what the alternative could have been. And those people that passed away that day expect more from us than complaints. They expect us to do our jobs and to continue to go after those that did this.